If your hands feel cold in a warm room, or your feet stay icy even under a blanket, please do not brush it off as just getting older. After 60, cold fingers and cold toes can be one of the earliest clues that warm blood is not reaching the outer edges of your body as easily as it used to. It does not always mean something dangerous is happening, and it does not mean you should panic. But it does mean your circulation deserves attention. I'm Dr. Caleb Rowan, and today I want to show you what your cold hands and feet may be trying to tell you, why your body protects the heart and brain first, and why one simple kitchen spice, cayenne pepper, may help support healthier blood vessel relaxation when it is used safely and combined with the right daily habits. Before we go deeper, comment your age below and tell me where you feel the cold first, your fingers, your toes, or both. That one answer tells me a lot about what people in this community are actually experiencing. Most people who have cold hands and feet have been given a very simple explanation. You just run cold. It's your age. It's your circulation. And then the conversation stops. But the body is much more intelligent than that. Your body does not send blood equally everywhere at all times. It runs on priority. Your brain, your heart, your kidneys, your liver, and your lungs are the high priority organs. They must receive blood every minute of the day. Your fingers and toes are important, but they are not at the top of that emergency list. They are the outer edges of the system. So when your body senses cold air, dehydration, stress, nicotine, blood sugar swings, sluggish muscles, or narrowed blood vessels, it does something very predictable. It pulls blood inward. It protects the core first. That is why your hands may feel like ice, while your chest feels normal. That is why your feet may stay cold even when the rest of you is comfortable. And that is why cold extremities after 60 should not be dismissed too quickly. The issue may not be the temperature in the room. It may be the pressure, flexibility, and responsiveness of the blood vessels trying to reach the farthest parts of your body. I want you to picture your circulation like a city water system. The downtown hospital, the power plant, and the fire station receive water first. The farthest neighborhoods at the edge of town receive water last. If the water pressure drops, those outer neighborhoods are the first to notice. The pipes may still be there, the system may still be working, but the flow reaching the farthest addresses is weaker than it used to be. Your fingers and toes are those outer neighborhoods, and when they keep going cold, especially when they did not used to, they may be giving you a visible warning about a problem that is happening quietly inside blood vessels you cannot see. Here is the part most people never hear clearly. The same forces that make your toes cold may also be affecting arteries you cannot feel, including arteries that matter deeply for long-term heart and brain health. Now, cold hands do not always mean peripheral artery disease. They can also happen with Raynaud's phenomenon, anemia, thyroid problems, nerve issues, certain blood pressure medications, migraine medications, smoking, autoimmune disease, or simply a strong reaction to cold and stress. So I do not want you to hear this as a diagnosis. I want you to hear it as a signal. A symptom is not a verdict. A symptom is a message. And when that message repeats itself for months or years, it is worth understanding. To understand why hands and feet go cold, you need to understand one of the most important tissues in your entire circulatory system. It is called the endothelium. This is the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels. It is only one cell thick, but it acts like a living control panel. It senses pressure, inflammation, blood sugar, oxygen demand, and chemical signals. And when it is healthy, it releases nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a tiny gas molecule with a major job. It tells the smooth muscle around your blood vessels to relax. When that happens, the vessel widens, blood flow improves, and more warm blood can reach the fingers, toes, skin, and muscles. When nitric oxide production is strong, your arteries can open when you walk, when you stand up, when your body needs warmth, and when your muscles need oxygen. But when the endothelium is irritated, inflamed, stiff, or damaged, nitric oxide drops. And when nitric oxide drops, blood vessels do not relax as easily. That means less warm blood reaches the fingers and toes, especially when you are sitting, stressed, dehydrated, exposed to cold, or eating in a way that spikes your blood sugar. Think of the endothelium like the slick coating on a non-stick pan. When that coating is smooth, food slides across it. Nothing sticks. But when the coating is scratched over and over again, things start catching. They burn onto the surface. Your blood vessels have a similar vulnerability. Years of high blood pressure, smoking, excess blood sugar, chronic inflammation, and inactivity can roughen the lining. Cholesterol particles, immune cells, and platelets are more likely to stick in places where that lining is injured. Over time, plaques can form, and arteries can become narrower or less flexible. This is not an overnight process. It is usually slow, and that is why people miss it. One winter, your feet are a little colder than usual. Then you start wearing socks to bed. Then air conditioning bothers you more. Then your hands feel cold after dinner. Then a small cut near the ankle takes longer to heal. Each symptom looks minor by itself, but together they may reveal a pattern. There is also a second mechanism, and this one can happen much faster. Your blood vessels are wrapped in smooth muscle, and that smooth muscle responds to your nervous system. When you are under stress, exposed to cold, sleep deprived, anxious, overcaffeinated, or running on shallow chest breathing all day, your sympathetic nervous system becomes more active. That is the fight or flight branch. One of its jobs is to tighten blood vessels in the skin and extremities. That tightening is called vasoconstriction. The opposite is vasodilation, when the vessels relax and widen. Warm hands and warm feet depend on your body being able to shift between those two states. Doctors sometimes call that flexibility vasomotor reserve. It simply means your blood vessels can open when they need to open and narrow when they need to narrow. With age, stress, poor blood sugar control, smoking, long sitting, and endothelial damage, that flexibility can weaken. The pipes are not just narrower, they become slower to respond. So cold extremities often come from two problems meeting at the same time. There is the long-term problem, blood vessels that may be less flexible, less smooth, and sometimes more narrowed than before. And there is the short-term problem. Your nervous system keeps telling those already sensitive vessels to clamp down. That combination is why someone can be sitting in a warm house and still feel like their toes are packed in ice. Before I show you the spice, I want to show you the 5 silent circulation blockers that often make the spice less effective. Because if these 5 are still active in your life, cayenne may give you warmth for a moment, but your daily habits may pull blood flow right back down. The first blocker is chronic mild dehydration. This is extremely common after 60 because the thirst signal often becomes less reliable with age. Many older adults do not feel thirsty until they are already behind. You can wake up after 7 or 8 hours without fluid, drink coffee, eat breakfast, take medications, get busy, and not realize that your blood volume is lower than ideal for good peripheral circulation. When fluid intake is low, the body protects blood pressure by pulling circulation toward the core and tightening the outer vessels. Your fingers and toes notice that first. This does not mean everyone should force down huge amounts of water. If you have kidney disease, heart failure, low sodium issues, or you take diuretics, your fluid target should be personal to you. But for many people, drinking water at the right times, especially early in the day, can make a real difference in how the hands and feet feel. The second blocker is inactive calf muscles. Your heart pumps blood out through the arteries, but the return trip from the legs depends heavily on muscle movement, especially the calf muscles. Every time you walk, rise onto your toes, or climb a step, your calf muscles squeeze deep veins and help push blood back toward the heart. That is why the calves are sometimes called the second heart. When you sit for hours, that pump becomes quiet. Blood pools in the lower legs, fluid stagnates, the return flow slows. And when blood is not moving efficiently out of the legs, fresh warm blood does not circulate in as well either. This is one reason your feet can feel cold after a long afternoon in a chair, even when the room is perfectly warm. The issue is not just cold, it is stagnation. The third blocker is refined carbohydrates and blood sugar swings. I am not telling you never to eat bread, rice, cereal, or dessert. But if your day begins with sweet cereal, white toast, orange juice, pastries, or sweet coffee, and then continues with crackers, soda, and dessert, your blood vessels are exposed to repeated glucose and insulin surges. Over time, those swings can interfere with endothelial function. They can increase oxidative stress, reduce nitric oxide availability, and make the vessel lining less responsive. This matters even if you have never been diagnosed with diabetes. Many people live for years in the gray zone of insulin resistance or prediabetes without realizing it. Their fasting glucose may look not too bad, but their after-meal spikes are higher than they think. If you are over 60 and your hands and feet are getting colder, it is worth knowing your A1C, your fasting glucose, and, when appropriate, your after-meal patterns. Circulation is not separate from metabolism. The blood vessels feel what the blood carries. The fourth blocker is nicotine in any form. Cigarettes, vaping, nicotine pouches, and long-term nicotine gum can all constrict peripheral blood vessels. Nicotine activates the sympathetic nervous system and can cause immediate narrowing in the small vessels that supply the fingers and toes. Many smokers know this without ever hearing the science because they can feel their hands get colder. Nicotine also injures the endothelium, increases platelet stickiness, and accelerates the vascular problems that make peripheral circulation worse over time. If you have already quit, that is a major gift to your arteries. If you have not quit yet, I am not saying it is easy. But in terms of blood flow to the hands and feet, nicotine is one of the highest leverage changes you can make. No spice can outwork a nicotine signal that tells your vessels to clamp down again and again. The fifth blocker is chronic stress with shallow breathing. This one surprises people because they do not think of stress as a circulation issue, but your nervous system is constantly talking to your blood vessels. When you are tense all day, when your shoulders are high, your jaw is tight, your breathing is shallow, and your mind never fully settles, your sympathetic nervous system stays more active than it should. That means the small vessels in the hands and feet stay slightly tighter. A full diaphragmatic breath sends a very different message. When the belly expands on the inhale and softens on the exhale, you stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and recover side. That shift helps blood vessels relax. It does not replace walking, hydration, or medical care, but it is one of the simplest ways to tell your body, we are safe enough to send blood back out to the edges. So pause for a moment and be honest with yourself. Are you running with 3 of these 5 blockers? Mild dehydration, long sitting, blood sugar swings, nicotine, stress breathing? If the answer is yes, then the spice I am about to show you may not work nearly as well unless you fix the hidden blockers first. Let me make this more real with a patient story. I will call her Margaret. She was 67, retired, bright, active in her church, and deeply frustrated by her feet. She told me, "Doctor, I know this sounds small, but my feet are cold all the time. I sleep with socks, I use a heating pad. Even in summer, I feel like my toes never fully warm up." At first, Margaret thought it was just age. She had heard that women run colder after menopause. She had heard that circulation slows down as you get older, so she adjusted. More socks, warmer slippers, a blanket by the couch. But then she noticed a few other clues. The skin on her shins looked thinner. A tiny nick near her ankle seemed to take longer to heal than it used to. Her toenails grew more slowly. She did not have dramatic pain. She did not have an emergency. She had a pattern. When her doctor checked her more carefully, including a simple ankle brachial index test that compares blood pressure at the ankle with blood pressure in the arm, the result suggested early peripheral artery disease. Not severe, not hopeless, but real. And when they reviewed her daily routine, the story made sense. Coffee in the morning, very little water, long hours sitting and reading, a sweet breakfast most days, and very little structured leg movement. She was not careless. She simply did not realize that her routine was quietly working against her circulation. After several months of small changes, Margaret's feet did not magically become young again, but they became warmer. She stopped needing the heating pad every evening. She could sit through a movie without feeling that icy ache in her toes. And perhaps most important, she stopped treating the symptom as a nuisance and started treating it as useful information. That is what I want for you. Not fear, information, not panic, action. And before I give you the full routine, comment your age below, 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s. Circulation problems do not move at the same speed in every decade, and your comments help me understand which age group needs the next video most. Now, let's talk about cayenne pepper. The active compound in cayenne is capsaicin, the same molecule that gives chili peppers their heat. Capsaicin has been studied for its effect on a receptor called TRPV1. This receptor is involved in sensing heat and pain, but it is also part of vascular signaling. When TRPV1 is activated, it can influence the release of compounds such as CGRP, calcitonin, gene-related peptide, which helps blood vessels relax. Research also suggests that capsaicin may support nitric oxide pathways in the endothelium. That is the scientific reason cayenne can create a warming sensation. It is not magic. It is not a cure for clogged arteries. It does not dissolve plaque in an hour, but it can act like a signal to the vascular system. It tells certain pathways involved in blood vessel relaxation to wake up. In 2010, research published in Cell Metabolism reported that dietary capsaicin, through TRPV1 activation, improved endothelium-dependent relaxation in experimental models by increasing activity related to endothelial nitric oxide synthase, the enzyme that helps produce nitric oxide. That does not mean cayenne is a medication. It does not mean it treats peripheral artery disease. It means there is a plausible biological pathway, and that pathway fits what many people feel: a gentle warming after consuming a small amount with food. Here is how I would approach it carefully. Start with 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper once a day, mixed into food, not on an empty stomach. Put it into eggs, soup, beans, vegetables, chili, stew, or a savory dish you already tolerate well. Keep it small at first. You are not trying to prove toughness. You are trying to give your blood vessels a repeated, gentle signal. After 1 week, if your stomach handles it well, you can consider increasing to 1/4 teaspoon per day. Some people eventually tolerate more, but more is not always better. The goal is consistency without irritation. If cayenne gives you burning reflux, stomach pain, diarrhea, flushing that feels uncomfortable, or worsens an ulcer condition, stop and talk to your clinician. And this is important. If you take warfarin, clopidogrel, aspirin, apixaban, rivaroxaban, dabigatran, or any blood thinner or antiplatelet medication, do not start a daily cayenne routine without asking your doctor or pharmacist. Capsaicin may have mild effects on platelet activity and can irritate the stomach in some people, so it deserves a real conversation, not a guess. The same caution applies if you have active reflux, gastritis, ulcers, or a history of bleeding problems. Cayenne is not a magic cure, it is a signal. Capsaicin may tell blood vessels to relax, but the rest of your day determines whether that signal can actually reach your hands and feet. That is why the next habits matter so much. The first support habit is the calf pump exercise. This is one of the simplest circulation tools I know because it uses your own muscles as a pump. Stand behind a chair, counter, or sturdy surface. Hold on lightly for balance. Rise up onto the balls of your feet so your heels lift off the ground. Hold for about 2 seconds, then lower slowly. That is 1 repetition. Do 20 repetitions at a time, not 200 all at once. 20 after breakfast, 20 mid-morning, 20 before lunch, 20 after lunch, 20 in the afternoon, 20 before dinner. Spread them through the day. If your balance is poor, do them seated first by lifting your heels while your toes stay on the floor. If you have severe foot pain, recent surgery, unstable angina, severe shortness of breath, or a doctor told you not to exercise, get medical guidance first. For many people, a goal of about 200 calf raises across the day is reasonable, but the starting point may be much lower. If you are deconditioned, start with 3 sets of 10. Build gradually. The point is not to punish your calves. The point is to restart the second heart that has been asleep while you sit. The second support habit is structured warm hydration. Notice I said structured, not random sipping, not forcing gallons. A simple pattern works better. Within 30 minutes of waking, drink a glass of warm or room temperature water. For many people, 16 ounces is a useful target, but adjust it to your body, your medications, and your doctor's advice. Overnight, your body has gone hours without fluid, and morning is often when blood volume needs support. Then add another glass mid-morning, another around lunch, another mid-afternoon, and a modest amount with dinner. Warm or room temperature water is often more comfortable for people with cold hands and feet than ice water, because cold exposure can temporarily encourage peripheral vessels to tighten. If you have kidney disease, heart failure, liver disease, low sodium, or you take diuretics, ask your doctor about your safe fluid target. Hydration helps circulation, but more water is not automatically better for every body. The third support habit is contrast foot bathing. This is a way of training the small blood vessels in your feet to respond to temperature changes. You fill one basin with warm water, about 104 degrees Fahrenheit, warm but not scalding. You fill another with cool water, around 65 degrees Fahrenheit, cool but not icy. Soak your feet in the warm water for 3 minutes, then move them to the cool water for 30 seconds. Repeat that cycle 3 times. Do it 3 evenings per week. The purpose is not suffering. The purpose is vascular exercise. Warmth encourages dilation. Cool water encourages constriction. Repeating that pattern may help train blood vessels to respond more flexibly, but this is not safe for everyone. If you have diabetes with neuropathy, reduced feeling in your feet, open sores, severe peripheral artery disease, a history of foot ulcers, or any condition where you cannot reliably feel temperature, do not do contrast baths unless your doctor says it is safe. A person who cannot feel heat accurately can burn the skin without realizing it. The fourth support habit is a magnesium-rich evening meal. Magnesium helps regulate muscle and nerve function, and it is involved in blood pressure and vascular tone. I prefer starting with food, not high-dose supplements, unless your doctor has a reason for you to supplement. Good magnesium-rich foods include pumpkin seeds, almonds, cashews, cooked spinach, black beans, and dark chocolate that is 70% cacao or higher. At dinner, choose one. A handful of pumpkin seeds on a salad, half a cup of black beans, cooked spinach with olive oil and garlic, a small serving of almonds or cashews, 2 small squares of dark chocolate after dinner if your blood sugar allows it. This is not a megadose protocol. It is a daily input. Over time, consistent nutrient intake supports the same relaxation systems we have been talking about. Now let me put this into one real day, because a list is easy to forget, but a routine is easy to follow. You wake up and, before coffee, you drink a glass of warm or room temperature water. You sit for 2 minutes and let your body wake up. Then breakfast is built around protein and fiber, eggs with vegetables, Greek yogurt with nuts and berries, oatmeal with chia and walnuts, or whatever fits your diet and medical needs. If cayenne is safe for you, you add 1/8 teaspoon to a savory breakfast, or save it for lunch if breakfast does not fit. Mid-morning, you stand behind a chair and do 20 slow calf raises. Up for 2 seconds, down slowly, then you drink another glass of water. That whole routine takes less than 2 minutes, but it tells your circulation, move again. At lunch, you avoid the trap of a meal that is all refined carbohydrates. Add protein, add fiber, add color. A sandwich can work better when it is on whole grain bread with turkey, tuna, eggs, or beans, plus vegetables. Soup can work well if it has protein and not just noodles. After lunch, before you return to the chair, do another set of calf raises or take a 5-minute walk. You do not have to call it exercise. Call it circulation maintenance. In the afternoon, when many people sit the longest, you repeat the pattern. Water, movement, breath. Another glass of water if it fits your fluid plan. 20 calf raises, 5 slow breaths, where your belly rises on the inhale and falls on the exhale. This is especially useful if your hands get cold while watching television, reading, or working at a desk. Dinner is where you include magnesium-rich food, spinach, beans, seeds, nuts, or a small piece of dark chocolate. Keep the meal steady. Protein, vegetables, healthy fat, and a carbohydrate your body tolerates without a major spike. If you use cayenne at dinner instead of breakfast, keep it with food and keep the amount modest. In the evening, 3 nights per week, you do the contrast foot bath if it is safe for you. Warm water for 3 minutes, cool water for 30 seconds. Repeat 3 times. Dry the feet carefully, especially between the toes. Put on clean cotton socks. And then notice. Not with fear, with curiosity. Are your feet warmer? Is one foot colder than the other? Does the skin color look normal? Do you have any sores you had not noticed? This is how you start paying attention before a small problem becomes a larger one. Before bed, take 5 slow diaphragmatic breaths. In through the nose if you can, belly soft and rising. Longer exhale, shoulders relaxed, jaw relaxed, hands open. This tells your nervous system that the day is no longer an emergency. The goal is not to do one dramatic thing. The goal is to send your blood vessels the same message several times a day. Open, move, hydrate, relax. What should you expect? In the first week, if cayenne agrees with you, you may feel warmth in the chest, face, or hands after a meal. Some people notice their feet feel less icy after calf raises and hydration. Some notice nothing dramatic, and that is fine. The first week is about tolerance and consistency, not miracles. In weeks 2 and 3, many people begin noticing a better baseline. Maybe your fingers do not chill as quickly in the grocery store. Maybe you do not reach for the thick socks quite as early in the evening. Maybe your feet recover faster after sitting. These are modest changes, but they matter because they tell you the system is responding. In weeks 4 through 6, if the routine fits your body and you have stayed consistent, you may notice that sitting is less likely to make your feet feel frozen. You may feel more comfortable walking around the house. You may become more aware of how quickly stress, dehydration, or a sugary meal can bring the cold feeling back. That awareness is powerful because it lets you adjust. In weeks 8 through 12, the deeper goal is not just warmth. The deeper goal is endothelial support, better vascular responsiveness, steadier routines, and fewer daily signals telling your vessels to clamp down. But I want to be very clear. Do not use warmth alone as proof that your arteries are healthy. A warm foot does not rule out artery disease. A cold foot does not diagnose it. Symptoms must be interpreted in context. You should speak with a doctor promptly if one foot or one hand is suddenly much colder than the other. If you develop pain in the calf, thigh, or buttock when walking, that improves with rest. If your toes turn blue, purple, white, or black. If you have numbness or loss of sensation. If wounds on the feet or ankles are slow to heal. If you have diabetes and any new foot change. Or if cold extremities come with chest pain, shortness of breath, fainting, or sudden weakness. Those are not try a spices situations. Those are medical conversations. This entire routine is meant to support circulation, not replace medical care. If you already have peripheral artery disease, diabetes, kidney disease, heart failure, neuropathy, a history of ulcers, or you take blood thinners, bring this plan to your doctor and personalize it. The safest plan is the one that respects your body, your medications, and your diagnosis. So here is the message I want you to remember. Cold hands after 60 may not be aging. Cold feet may not be just a comfort problem. They may be your body's way of telling you that blood flow to the outer edges needs support. The five blockers are mild dehydration, inactive calf muscles, blood sugar swings, nicotine, and chronic stress breathing. The five supports are small, safe amounts of cayenne with food, calf pump movement, structured warm hydration, contrast foot bathing when appropriate, and magnesium-rich evening foods. Start tomorrow morning with 1 glass of warm water, then do 1 set of calf raises. Then, if it is safe for you, try a tiny amount of cayenne with food. Do not try to change your whole life in one day. Build a circulation routine your body can trust. Your hands and feet may have been talking to you for years. Today, you finally know what they may be saying. If this helped you, comment warm below and tell me your age and whether you feel the cold more in your fingers or your toes. I read those comments because they help me make the next video more useful. And if you know someone over 60 who always says, "My hands are freezing," or "My feet never warm up," share this with them. It may give them the one thing they have been missing, not fear, not a miracle, but a practical way to listen to the body and start helping the circulation one day at a time.